What's the one thing that you thought was easy but turned out to be extremely difficult when you actually attempted it? Finding a better job once I had a few years experience in the field. I've been in the printing industry for 20 years. About 5 years ago, I finally got out of the press room and into the office doing estimating. I figured I would do that for a couple of years then find something else in a different industry. Nope. Can't find anything making as much as I currently do. I'm trapped. I took this job thinking it would be temporary. That was in April 2000. Everything in this field got sent to India right around then, so there aren't a lot of options. I feel your pain. Our personnel finance leads me to believe that I could have 3 new jobs lined up within a month, and should reject them all but use it as salary negotiations with my employer. Reality tells me I'll keep my job because it took 2 years to find it. The more specialized and experienced you get, the fewer jobs there are that are worth taking. It takes longer and longer to find an opportunity to advance. Oh, sure, I can write a novel. 90,000 words. Piece of piss. Yep, writing a book is easy. Writing a good book that people actually want to read and where everything sort of flows in vaguely the direction you want, way harder. Along the same lines, writing anything well is far more difficult than it has any right to be. It seems like it should be easy to get your choice of words, your phrasing, and your punctuation right on the first attempt, but then you start typing and make small mistakes that completely alter what you meant. After all, omitting a single comma can change a sentence and come on, people too. Well, you get the idea. Waking up early. Like just an hour earlier than my usual time and I'm a fucking zombie. Drywall and general home repairs. I am riding a single room. Remodeling from plaster and lathe. My advice, always buy at least 1 extra of anything you need from the hardware store, and estimate an extra 2-3 hours of labor. Truth is, if you've never done a project before you need time to screw it up once then go back and fix it. Before we bought a house I had no idea how much maintenance was involved. The thought of replacing our shower and tub was keeping me up at night. Said fuck it and have a contractor coming tomorrow. Painting. Professionals make it look incredibly easy but it just becomes a sloppy mess when I try. I gave up on physical media. Digital painting is so much easier. Infinite undo, no mess, cheaper in the long run, and much easier to match colors. Taking care of my aging parents. They say that there is a time when you need to parent your parents, but I don't think that's a good analogy. I thought I would visit them more, make some doctor's appointment, hire house cleaners and aides when necessary or maybe find a nice assisted living facility for them. No way, they didn't want any of that at all. It wasn't like parenting a child at all, more like needing to beg, plead, demand, or yell for them to allow me to do even minimal things that will keep their lives from totally falling apart and taking mine with it. And that still didn't work. Writing you here from the broken life I saw coming a mile away. Not everyone's elderly parents are like this, and mine were the most relaxed, empathic, organized people I ever knew growing up. Old age made them difficult and irrational, and they just weren't able to see things logically or from my perspective anymore. So deep were they in the anxiety, fear, and stress of just dealing with their life. I'll never forget the week my grandfather's, much younger, wife left him with us so she could go on holiday without him. He was an irrational shell of a human being and had somehow got this idea that she was never coming back, probably because she would not answer any of his calls, or ours for that matter. He was also not allowed to drink anymore as recommended by his doctors, but he constantly plagued my dad to bring him for a pint every night despite us reminding him of this every time it came up. In the end it was easier to give in and my dad to go up and get the drinks in the hope he could sneak a non-alcoholic beer into a pint glass for him. I can barely comprehend how much age can change people, and how removing a codependent partner from a person's life can send them into a kind of breakdown when they are already vulnerable because of their age health. To be honest, I try to block the thought of this happening to my own parents from my mind. It's too terrible to think about. Not giving a shit. I kept sort of giving a shit. You have to give a shit about some stuff. It's figuring out what's worth it and what's not. Quitting sugar. It's literally in everything. At this point I've just settled for no more junk food because that's so much easier to tell. Yep, It becomes a lot easier to cut out sugar if you stop eating processed foods, switch to cooking everything yourself within processed meats, produce, and grains so you get to control how much sugar you add. Of course it's more work, but it's worth it. I've recently had to quit any processed or added sugar. I have a big sweet tooth and I just had a physical where my doctor told me my shit's all fucked up because of all the sugar I eat. More specifically, she was concerned about my blood glucose levels, my liver function, and my LDL levels. She told me no sugar or white flour for 3 months. She also has me taking vitamin D, fish oil, and CoQ10 pills. I went back for a checkup after a month and my doctor said she could already see that it's working. With exercise, I dropped a ton of weight, I'm a lot less puffy, and my skin is glowing. Her words: when your life is on the line, not necessarily in the immediate future, it's very easy, at least for me, to quit something lol. Ice skating. Dude, there's 7-year-old kids on the rink dancing. It can't be that hard. Falls, gets up. Falls, falls, hits barrier. Falls, falls, god damn it. Ice skating is one of those skills that when you get it right, it just clicks. But then you'll hit another wall, pun sort of intended, when you figure out how to move at a decent speed and be able to turn decent, but then you need to learn to stop. Same thing. With practice, one day it just clicks and you can do those edge stops like it's nothing. On one side, rinse and repeat. Cold shower. Doing light physical activity to get your heart rate up helps with easing in. Also just a hot, humid day. Nice, cool showers felt amazing over the past 2 days here in Massachusetts. My family was too poor to afford heaters, so I have been showering in cold water since I was very young. We can't afford heaters now, but we are so used to cold showers we never bothered getting them installed. It's funny because, on the contrary, I cannot stand hot showers. I feel like I am being burnt every time I use hot water to shower. Pen spinning. In high school I knew a girl who used to do it, and it was awesome to watch. I didn't see what was so hard about it until I attempted it myself. It took a few months of daily practice, along with using finger muscles that I wasn't used to using, but I'm now able to do it without thinking. Cashiering. I didn't realize how much it drained your soul, and almost didn't come back from it. I don't even know why it was so hard on me. The work itself was extremely easy, but I always got so depressed, and after shifts I was exhausted. If I hadn't quit, I think I would have destroyed my mental health. It's a demand to be on the entire shift. Think about a day you have off. You directly interact with strangers maybe 5-6 times. In an 8-hour shift as a cashier, depending on where you work, it could be anywhere from 50 to 2,000 transactions. And unlike personal life, you have to be friendly and upbeat and semi-unique with each and every one of them, plus do other tasks when it's slow. Even 2 or 3 shitty customers can ruin the entire day and make it that much more stressful. Getting a good night's sleep. Finding a job after college. Remember how all of college they shoved networking down your throat? This is why. What networking really means is make a friend that will get you the job you want. 100% this. Any college students reading this, please take it to heart. Everyone I know that got jobs right away got them because of someone they knew, not because of any experience they had. Network, network, network. Had I listened to this advice, maybe I wouldn't be mowing lawns at a golf course for $11 HR. Surfing. Really thought my 20 years of skate and snowboarding would help me out. Nope. I got exhausted just putting on the wetsuit. Then trying to paddle and pop up? Forget it. Late but waitressing. I became a waitress 3 weeks ago and I still haven't got the hang of it. 5 tables doesn't seem like much in theory, but geez is it difficult. 1. Always hustle. Your tables see you. If you're always hustling, when bad things out of your control happen, you may not suffer as much with the tip. 2. When you're on the floor, make eye contact with every table before you go back to kitchen. That way you give them a chance to flag you down if they need something. The longer they have to wait for some little something they need, the more your tip suffers. Don't be the waitress that only looks at the table you're bringing something to, as if the other tables are a nuisance. 3. Never be the cocky waitress that thinks she can take whole food orders by memory. Those people still fuck something up 80% of the time. If your memory isn't top notch, have a notepad and write everything down until you're more confident with memorizing a few requests at once. 4. Don't give the big table so much attention you screw your other smaller tables. They notice and know they're being ignored, and if you fuck up 2-3 tables and lose their tips, you may not make up for it with the big table. Big tables on average tend to fuck you over individually. They all assume the collective tip is good enough, and each of the separate tabs tend to screw you. All the more reason not to ignore the smaller, more appreciative tables. 5. Don't hook up a table that arrived later and says they're in a hurry and put their order in before another table that arrived earlier. They may notice their food showed up later than that table that came in after them, and ream your ass, and then your manager reams your ass all for trying to be nice. It happened to me. 6. Friendly and personable is all you need for good money. Going over the top with personality and wasting time doing stand-up sessions for each table is going to cost you, unless you're at a place that everyone is required to run everyone else's food. Then apparently you can be a stand-up comedian for your tables while everyone else like me runs their food and keeps their tips high. I'm obviously still bitter about that Outback Steakhouse experience. 7. The good-looking people get hooked up with the best tables most of the time in every restaurant you go to. So if your looks are average, the managers won't play favorites for you, even if you're the top quality waiter that the managers send in to save the pretty people's asses. 8. If you want to stay waitressing for any period of time, get good your first year and try to get into high-dollar restaurants ASAP. That's where the good money is. Horseback riding. Because it's literally just sitting on a horse, and the horse is doing all the work. Turns out it's pretty difficult and physically demanding to get the horse to do what you want it to do. First time I rode a horse, technically the only time, was in a group on a trail and all the group's horses were just following the guy who knew how. Second attempt I was volunteering at a therapy ranch where we were allowed to ride on our breaks. I just got on the horse and then just sat there trying to get it to move and completely failing. Gave up after probably 10 minutes. Piano. It's never going to be easy, but it gets a lot easier when you actually enjoy playing it. Being an adult. Seriously, I was never taught how car insurance works, or when or how to register a vehicle, or where and how to file taxes. When and who to call when an appliance breaks. I'm still only 30% sure I fill out my I-9s correctly when starting a new job. Buying a house, that's a whole other deal. Loans and escrow and property taxes. How to care for and maintain the stuff inside the walls of that house. Minor electrical fixes. Plumbing leaks. Switching out a thermostat. How to change my own oil. What to do with the dirty oil once you've changed it. I mean, I get it. I can Google all of these, which I do, but I didn't know about them in the first place. In all the years of schooling I've ever had, I've never had anyone teach me these things or make sure that I know about them. I'm now 28 and I'm still caught off guard with things I didn't know I needed to do.